Hey everyone, welcome to Sanc Live, and you are at one of the last two Sanc Lives that we are hosting. And I've been so grateful for the past year of us being able to worship online and virtually, but I'm even more grateful that we are coming back in person. If you haven't heard the news, in a few weeks, March 28th, we are meeting back in person. We're doing an outdoor service. And so we have 2 more weeks of doing this online thing. And again, I'm so grateful. But our outdoor service will be here in Menlo Park, at the Menlo Park campus in the bank parking lot. If you don't know exactly where that is, that's totally fine. You can just park in the main parking lot of our Menlo Park campus, and we will have signs. We'll point you to where to go. But I'm so excited. We'll have some worship, some teaching, and more than anything, we will just simply be together and hang out together. So make sure all of your Sanc friends know about that. Tell everybody, make sure you are there for our first one back. And also, if you are interested in joining our relaunch team, you can email me at ahendricks@menlo.church. Some of you have already reached out about this. Our relaunch team is simply a team that is helping us, get this, relaunch. That's right. We are going to set up and tear down and sanitize. And some of the things we're going to be doing, we don't even know yet. We're going to be figuring out how to make this happen week by week. But I can't do it alone, so I need some of you to help us make this happen. So email me if you're interested. Now today I am excited because we are talking about serving. Serving is one of the core values of our church. The prophet Amos, in the book of Amos, in chapter 5, says this phrase about the heart of God, and says that God says, "I hate your religious festivals and your assemblies, and do away with your noise of your songs." And then it says, "But let justice roll on like a river, let righteousness flow like a never-ending stream." So there's something there about God. We're so often as believers, we can focus on our Bible studies and our theology and our assemblies, our worship music, but we can neglect the love of others, the mercy and the justice and the compassion serving our community. And so I know you are passionate about this. Many of you are asking me, how can I serve more? What are opportunities? And I'm excited to tell you that we have a great opportunity this month, a super simple way to provide help for those in our area. It's our second year in a row to do what we're calling the Run for Hope. We are putting on a virtual 5K, and it's happening the last weekend of March. And here's how it's going to work. Our church is going to donate $25 for rent relief to local partners for every mile you run or you walk. And the church's goal is to raise $150,000 to give to people to help them with the rent, especially those who've been hit hard in the pandemic. And so this week, I would love for you to sign up for that. I've got the sign up details in the YouTube description. But this week, for our sermon time, doing something a little different, I interviewed one of the founders of one of our ministry partners. She works at Live in Peace, which is a nonprofit in East Palo Alto. And she has seen in person the amazing effect of being able to help someone out with their rent, and how amazing that is. And we can help with that simply by walking or running. So stay tuned and see from her of just the power of serving the community. And now let's worship together.
Darkness runs for God. When you are, fear turns into praises. And where you are, no heart's left unchanged. So come, move, let justice run on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. When you move, the outcast finds a family. When you move, the orphan finds a home. Lord, here we are. Teach us to love mercy. With humbled hearts, we bow down at your throne. Oh, Jesus. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. King of all generations, let every tongue and nation surrender all to you, Lord. King of all generations, let every tongue and nation surrender all to you. So come, move, let justice from on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. King of all generations, let every tongue and nation surrender all to you, Lord. King of all generations, let every tongue and nation surrender all to you, Lord. To you, Lord. So come, move, let justice from on like a river. Then worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. And lead us back to you.
Well, I'm so excited to have Heather with us today. And Heather works at a nonprofit called Live in Peace. And we were just talking a moment ago. I'm able to hear from her about her journey into this organization and nonprofit world and just talk to her a little bit how we can serve in the Bay a little more. So, Heather, thanks for being here.
Hey,
Uh, hey, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you were sort of drawn into like the nonprofit world and this kind of service?
okay. Yeah, my name's Heather. I live in East Palo Alto, and I actually got in trouble when I was 16 years old. So that was what, 10 years? No, long time ago. Let's see. Yeah, in '86. So
Mm,
I had to do community service, and somebody sent me up to Camp Maymac, which used to work with kids in East Palo Alto. So I was in the back of the kitchen and really kind of fell in love with the community, with the kids up there. And I followed them down to where they lived, and which was East Palo Alto. And uh, me and a friend, we started working for City Team Ministries, and then we worked
mm.
for Young Life. Um,
Oh, well.
and yeah, and as we grew, we realized that there's some more things that Young Life can't do, like sending kids to college and that whatnot. So we split off, and um, it was we really were at the time where our community was filled with violence, and now we know a lot about the crack epidemic and kind of the
Yeah.
war on drugs and the systemic issues that go with that. But
Yep.
um, so we named ourselves the opposite of what was happening. And so it
Mm.
was rest in peace was we realized that our kids knew what to do when young people were killed or died early, but we weren't sure that people knew how to live in peace. And so it's a real
Oh, wow.
yeah, a lot of people don't catch that until you
Yep.
put those two together. So it's a really a call out, like we want to live in peace, and it really comes from the proverbs of without vision people perish. And so we know
Yes.
if people can't see themselves in the future, they don't make the decisions to get there. So
Yeah. Wow. No, I hadn't put
yeah,
that together because when we were emailing, it was LIP. I hadn't even put together the
yeah. In
contrast
fact,
of RIP.
the kids put like pictures of with their friends that die and put, sunrise and sunset. And so we
Hmm.
started putting pictures of kids that graduated from high school in the same format. And it would be a live in peace sweatshirt and or a shirt. And that would be what we gave them when they graduated. And then we would say college bound or, going to be an architect or trade, whatever. And so we really started like taking that model and shifting the mindset.
Yeah. Wow. That's super cool. And honestly, I hadn't really thought of your name that much, but we talk about in our ministry, we talk about shalom a lot, and that Jewish idea of just it's not just nonviolence, it's not just not conflict, it's wholeness in every area of your life. So that's I love that so much. So what would you say, like, just for our folks, like, what do you guys do? What is Live in Peace? Why does it exist? You sort of shared that a little bit, but like, how do you even go about like supporting and teaching these folks how to live in peace?
Yeah, it's funny because we were talking earlier before we went on. It's like we're really just relational,
Yeah.
and we figured out how to put structures around it. And early in when it was more violent, we really focused on non-violence. But as things have shifted, we are still relational, and we work with folks that are kind of, losing their vision for themselves. And we really believe that everybody was designed with a purpose, and
Yeah.
if you fall into your purpose, you live just a totally different life. And
Yeah.
so we currently we use buckets to describe our work, but really under the hood, it's relational. And
Yeah.
all our staff live in the community. We're all accessible in the morning and in the night, at the store, wherever. But we work on kids that are least likely to graduate from high school. We follow them up through what we call a gap year, which is a lot of our kids put all their energy into graduating from high school or kind of making a U-turn. And so they haven't made a plan. So we do a lot of heavy mentorship that first year out of high school. And then we also have 75 kids in college that we fund.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and then we have a bike shop,
Oh,
which
cool.
yeah, it's really cool. I'll show it before we close down, but and we're starting a golf program as well. And so we really look at everything as how do we just expose young people, draw them to their best selves, and we are
Yeah.
constantly looking at ways to do that.
Yeah. Wow. That's so cool. And you talked about relationships and just being such a relational organization. And it's like that's one I hope like benefit for all of us in this pandemic period is
Mhm.
I know for me personally, just more than ever, I have remembered and learned that that's what it's all about. Which you would think as a pastor in the church, I would know that, but sometimes we just get so stuck into our programs or this is the thing we do.
Absolutely.
And like you said, it's like people. That's what it's about.
It
And
is. And I think we I can get to the point where I walk up and kids, every kid, we have them like trained, but they all bring their phones and they're like, hey, look what my grades are going up, and
mm,
you can get so busy chasing a grade for them that you forget to like breathe with them and just be like, oh,
right.
you know, how you doing? What's really going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Oh man, I get that so much. I get that. Well, obviously we're doing a run is sort of one of the ways, especially in the pandemic, we're trying to figure out ways that we can do things and contribute. Uh, but we're doing this. We're calling it like rent relief. That's sort of one of the main areas we're trying to raise money for.
Yeah, we did
Uh,
that.
yeah. And so I'd love for you to just talk about what exactly, how does this tangibly help? Because our folks, so many of the people I'm thinking of in my mind that are in our ministry just want to help in many ways. Some of them throughout the pandemic have just said, "What can I do? What can I do?" And so I think it just helped for them to connect. Like, okay, if I run 3 miles, what is that? How can that actually tangibly help people?
Well, first of all, I just think it's a great idea for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's pandemic appropriate.
Right.
Weird. But I also think it's very visual so people can see it. It's not just something, in the back. And I think that's encouraging overall. Just that conversation is encouraging. Um, Starting in April this year, March, as soon as we started realizing, we started checking in with our kids, and our young people's families were the first to lose their jobs. And literally
Mm,
by March 16th, 18th, we knew very quickly that particularly the non citizen, folks that
yep.
they were losing their jobs. So, and they are also happen to be some of the hardest working, but the least likely to have a savings. And so,
Right.
you know, and we started a first of the month campaign,
Mm,
and we were able to give out, I think, like 2.3 million we raised
wow.
throughout this pandemic. And I'll tell you, we never caught up with everybody on our
Sure.
list, and we were able to give out 3 months at a time, and people wept, like, and in even my neighbor, I was walking outside and I was like, oh, I haven't seen you, this is early April, and he's like, don't come near, my wife has it,
Yeah.
and he's getting something out of his car, and I said, oh brother, we can help you, we have rent, and he just stood there and he wept. He just cried.
Oh
And
man.
it was the combination of his family being sick and then him being quarantined until they were well, plus 14 days, And for
Sure.
someone, so that was like, I think he ended up being out of, like, not working for 30 days, and he didn't have recourse. And
Sure.
just the relief of what just rent does for people. I mean, so many
Yes.
of us take it for granted. We just
Yes.
take housing and that is like, you know, everything to people. And we've just seen it over and over the way. that generosity. And what's crazy is so people's rent are often very low. You know, they're living in a room, or I mean,
Hmm.
in comparison to this region. And we've our average for 3 months is $6,000. So I mean,
Mm.
if you think about that, $6,000 can house a family for 3 months, and often those families,
Wow.
7 to 10 people. So it's really a strong way to show up and bring about justice, and
Yep.
kind of erase some of the systemic things that are there. And also, in my opinion, share the gospel. You don't have to say much.
Sure.
Give somebody
Sure.
a check. That is the gospel. It's good news,
Right.
peace. So
Yeah, yeah, yes, I couldn't agree more. And if you ever want to come preach for us, I would love that. I can tell you got the fire
I
in
got
you.
the
But man, that is so powerful, and it's sort of mind blowing. And I'm it just honestly, it makes me thankful for what you all are doing, and it also just makes me excited that something as silly as strapping on some sneakers and posting on Facebook that I'm going to raise this money to run could potentially like you said help somebody have rent for 3 months. Like that's an easy yes, and that's just
game
such
changer, right?
a game changer. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, how about this? Like, I think I mentioned this earlier, but so many of our young folks are passionate about, like, even if they work for a big tech company or whatever their job is, a lot of them really do understand that life is more than that, and are just striving for a bigger purpose. How can I contribute? So, from your experience and just all that you've seen and been able to do you have any advice or encouragement, or just things you can tell our young adults to when it comes to serving the community?
Yeah, I do. I think I believe the kingdom is reciprocal, right? That and it's relational. And so for me, what are you about? What gets you excited in your soul? And how do you share that with the next person, right? And I know that like the two communities often just coexist, and the relational bridge is really tough. And live in peace, what we're not really good at is like inviting 500 people over to our, because then that becomes non-relational. That becomes,
Yeah.
or like you're gonna help us. But what I believe is that we can, we have 75 college kids, so they need help in probably science and math is probably our weakest. I'm sure there's people over there that know it. Or what about our graduates? And like if they're looking for a job in a field that somebody's over there, then you build a reciprocal
Yeah.
relational space, and you get to use what God has put in you naturally to give over. And I'm sure the reciprocal thing would be they're going to give back to you. And to me, that's the kingdom. And that's where we have to
Yeah.
figure out how to do that, where it's natural. It's not like this big 1 day event, or not, but that kind of
Yep.
just blows over and makes our community feel small, and actually makes our other community feel powerful, and it keeps
Right.
that unequal relationship. So I think there's a lot of ways that we could help that, but I do think there's people like you and I that probably need to bridge those things.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And I love that idea of just bridging that even more. And I know, a lot of people like myself grew up doing mission trips,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of good that comes from that. But so much of it early on, I had the mindset of like, I'm going to fix something, or I'm going in, to take care of something. And just, the life changing part for me was literally exactly what you're saying. It's when I actually started like learning the life of somebody else and realize, oh, they are actually way
Yeah.
more powerful than me in matters that are more important. And they're the ones who are changing me. And just, it's not about like, just trying to transform programs. It's sort of what we said earlier, right? It's like you get so focused on programs and goals and
Yeah.
stuff, and forgetting like, man, it's just us. It's us humans trying to connect and love each other. The kingdom
Yeah.
stuff. That's so good. Love that.
Yeah. And be
That's
your,
great.
we should all figure out how to be our authentic selves, because I think that's where we have the most to give from, you know.
Yeah. 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 Well, I'm just so thankful that you have shared with us, and we're partnering. And I love the idea of just connecting even more. You said you might show us this
Yeah.
bike shop. I think that'd be super cool.
Yeah. Let me show. This is we have a counseling room. But you're gonna like this bike shop. This is dope. Delicious. Hey,
Oh,
yo, say hi.
hey,
That's a church. They're checking out the bike shop. So you can
that's
see
so cool.
those are Facebook bikes that we collect from the community, and then we give them other bikes. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and that's one of our student interns, and he pretty much runs he's a junior in high school, and he pretty much runs the bike shop when our manager's not home. So we're training up folks and yeah. But if we have any bikers that we're trying to start a bike club, and so or if you know how to work on bikes, you could come that way.
I love it. Well, we definitely do, because I see them walk in with their tight biker shorts. So I know
Yeah,
we got some.
Patty's in the house. No, just kidding. Yeah,
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's such an easy way to serve. And it's that, to your point, like that authentically, like something you're passionate about, to be able to help out. That's super cool.
yeah,
Well, Heather, thank you so much. I appreciate all that you do. And yeah, I just appreciate you taking some time and us figuring out our Zoom issues and
yeah.
making
Oh yeah,
this happen.
yeah. We hate Zoom. Um,
Yes.
but thank you guys again for just thinking about us and for running and showing up in a way that makes sense, right now. And that's big. That was creative. And I'll tell you what, every dime will go to really important places and spaces and people. And so thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Heather. Thanks so much.
All right. Talk to you later.